Hi guys, this is Mr. Tan, and today we're looking at e-business and e-marketing or digital marketing, and we're going to cover the diagnostic categories including digital marketing measurement. We're going to be looking at the data within performance management systems and website standards. So we're going to be looking at these three things. Learning outcomes today: understand terms and tools used to measure and improve digital marketing effectiveness. Develop an appropriate process to collect, measure, for digital marketing effectiveness, and identify the activities necessary when managing an online presence. So, discussion questions. How do marketers measure and improve the effectiveness of digital marketing? So that's a question that you need to think about if you're starting your own business or own website. How much resources do they need to put into managing and improving the site? So, key questions in evaluating the process, metrics and tools for improving the contribution of digital marketing within an organization. So, some of these key questions are metrics, how we selected the right diagnostic metrics to improve performance. And we need to know what these metrics are so we can determine what we're looking at and to find out how we're performing or not. Tools. Can our analytics software collect, aggregate and visualize metrics? Do we have the software capable of providing the metrics that we want? And this leads on to the quality of the web analytics process. And later on we're going to look at some examples of some web analytic examples. And then in terms of the quality of management process for the analysis, are the measures reviewed and interpreted at the right time? And the action, are the measures acted upon? So do we take action to determine the right quality of management process? And then the quality of web analytics processes and the quality of management processes link into the improved channel contribution. So again, we have a summary of the performance of the measurement process, and we have goal setting. What is it exactly that we want to achieve, and who's in control of this? Who's responsible for this? Performance measurement. What's happening? Who's going to measure it? How often? And when is it going to be done? And what action is going to be taken after it? And performance diagnostics. Why is this happening? Again, who is going to review this and when is this going to happen? And then this leads into corrective action. What should we do about it? And again, all of this is about the management of resources and how effective or efficient we are. But ultimately, if we are spending money on web analytics in terms of determining how effective things are, a marketing campaign, page impressions, visits to the websites, what routes they take through the web pages, how effective our PR is, or social marketing is, then we need to determine how effective we are or not. If we're effective, how can we improve upon it? If we're not effective, what do we need to do to change it and to take corrective action at the bottom? So again, these things need to be reviewed. The 5 diagnostic categories for digital marketing measurement, and these 5 diagnostic categories include the 1, business contribution, the online revenue contribution, direct and indirect category, penetration, costs and profitability, marketing outcomes in terms of leads, sales, service contracts, conversions and retention efficiencies. And in addition to that, we looked at the number of impacts we're going to try to achieve, and the cost per 1,000 impacts, and how many that leads into people going onto our site, and then the potential customers leading on from there to sales generation, and then the percentage of those to actual sales. Again, gives you your degree of customer through your advertising and your marketing and your social media campaigns that you need to monitor. And you need to monitor all these. What's the marketing outcomes? Is it worth doing? the cost per thousand impacts, has it been justifiable, leading to the end generation of a sale? Customer satisfaction, suit, the site usability, performance, availability, contact strategies, options, attitudes, and brand impact. And also the customer behavior, the web analytics, profiles of customers, customer orientations in terms of segmentation, usability, click streams, and site actions. And we also have site promotion as well, the attraction efficiency, refer efficiency, cost of acquisition and reach, search engine visibility and link building, e-marketing strategies and integration. So here from 1 to 5 we've got the business contribution, 2 the marketing outcomes, 3 the customer satisfaction, 4 the customer behavior, and then 5 the site promotion, which leads down to the organizational targets, and this leads back up to the organizational tactics in terms of what the organization should be doing to meet the organizational strategies. And here we have potential reasons for causing attrition on the e-commerce site. On the left hand side we have the percentage of site visits going down to the depth of relationship and leading to the payment and fulfillment. So again, if we move all the way down from the depth of relationship in terms of acquisition, first impressions, product selection, and payment and fulfillment, we can see certain things can cause attrition on a website and a sale not taking place, including it's the wrong audience, unclear marketing message, could be a slow page loading up. There's nothing worse than a page taking ages to load up. It could be clumsy site navigation, unengaging look and feel of the website. And sometimes you just don't like the look and feel of the website, and it's maybe too small or too complicated. It's not very easy to use. Awkward selection, no real-time stock information, price uncompetitive, high shipping costs, card validation error, no email notification, and failed delivery. So these are all some of the things that could cause attrition on your website, and these are the things that need to be looked at in terms of putting things right. Because if you're spending loads of money on marketing your website, on building up your meta tags and the crawlers, and building up your profile high on the search engines, then you really want to develop the depth of the relationship without having the decline of that depth going so low due to various attrition on the website. Here we have the multi-channel performance scorecard. Here's an example for a retailer. So you might want to look at results in terms of scoring, performance, in terms of results, revenue, multi-channel contribution, the degree of multi-channel sell-ups, cost per channel, the degree of sweating assets, multi-channel infrastructure costs. In terms of customers and stakeholders, what is the overall customer satisfaction? What about the customer propensity to defect, the customer propensity to purchase, and the customer perception to added value, and then the integration of customer experience. And then we also have people and knowledge, staff satisfaction, appropriate behaviors like living the brand, willingness to diversify, extend the brand, and knowledge of the target customer. And then we have another scorecard in terms of core processes, in terms of productive multi-channel usage, price relative to competitors and other channels, and the quality of integrated customer view. So here we're talking about how do you rate your own performance, and here are some kind of in terms of different areas, in terms of results, customers and stakeholders, people and knowledge, and core processes. You've got different scorecards to try and rate yourself to see how you're doing or not in relation to your competitors and in relation to you achieving your targets. So again, this might show you if you're doing good or not, and then what action you need to take in order to get better. So here are examples of different measures of visitor volumes to our website, And again, we had number of hits. For instance, hits could be 4 million hits. But page impressions, in terms of viewed, 1.2 million from the 4 million. And then visits, actually people visiting from the page impressions, it's 120,000, which represents 10%. And then unique visitors, unique visitors who haven't visited your site before, because these are all monitored with the IP address of that laptop. So 60,000, which represents 50% of the visits. So 50% being new visitors to the website. But they may not necessarily be a new visitor. They could be a completely new visitor, or they could be just someone using a different web site, or a laptop or PC from work, or so on and so forth. And then we have this framework for different measures used to evaluate and manage social media marketing. So this framework's in terms of the role, metrics, and specific data. The role in terms of business executives requiring business matrix, and reviewing kind of like the revenue, reputation, CSAT. If we're talking about the role of the business stakeholder, again, the metrics they're going to be looking at are the social media analytics and the specific data, share of voice, resonation, WAM, support response, insight intake. And we're talking about the role in terms of the community managers and agencies. Specific matrix are the engagement data. And then the specific data that they're looking for are the click-through rate, the fans, the followers, the RTs, the views, and check-ins. So these are the things that they're looking at. Here is an example here of, to measure, from Hootsuite application for measuring social media marketing. So again, a lot of this data is actually available to find out who your visitors are, where they're coming from, and this software you can plug into your site. Here's an example of a National Express page assessed through the multivariate testing. So we have multivariate testing here, and if we see the next page, we'll see how this is translated in terms of data. In terms of what customers are coming to visit, what are they clicking on, where are they going, and so on and so forth. So these are the results of the multivariate testing for National Express. And again, you can monitor the track flow of customers, what pages they're going on, how long they're spending where. And so if we see the content combination 1, 2, 3, and 4, maxi box A, B, C, D, and E, and we can see where the customers are actually going. Lift on control in terms of 14.11%, 14.9%, 11.5%, 10 in terms of content combination. And again, because we're talking about data analytics, so we're trying to analyze exactly what's happening on the website. We're not just taking the sale, we're trying to analyze what's actually happening and where the customers are going, and what they're actually buying, what they're actually looking for, and the multivariation content combinations, and so on and so forth, which could help us determine the consumer buying behavior and link into what we need to be providing and information we need to be providing to customers in order to make it more effective in terms of customers buying more or converting to a sale. Here's an example here of, again, visitor numbers to a website. Again, software is available, so you don't need to actually create it yourself, and the plugins, and it's quite inexpensive in terms of, and there are different websites and software packages out there to allow you to have all these data analytics. So it's not as if you have to build these yourself, and they don't cost a great deal of money. I mean, this one here, this data analytics shows, for instance, the number of unique visitors, unique visitors, how many page visits, bounce rate 36%, and mobile data access. Do you want to receive it on your mobile? And if we're moving on, we can see visitors by countries. Where are these people coming from? Because obviously we have their IP addresses, so we can see exactly the countries where these people are actually coming from. which is again very, very interesting because it's good to show you in terms of segmentation, where your customer base are. And again, if you're talking about segmentation and you're talking about behavior analytics, again, what are the behavior of your visitors in terms of the sites and where they're going, which pages they're going, how long are they staying on, and so on and so forth. And again, you have visitor web statistics, visitor behavior, visitor recordings, visitor head maps, visitor funerals, visitor feedback. And again, you can have all this feedback at a very inexpensive cost to adding this on, but obviously it needs to be built in, and it needs to be analyzed and detailed, and a report made and action taken if necessary. Now here we have different types of data within a performance management system for internet marketing. And at the operational level, at the bottom level, we have the referral or campaign data, the site or clickstream data, customer response and profile data, and the sales transactions, legacy. And on the tactical side, we have in the middle side, we've got the audience data, the reach, characteristics, options, and lifetime value model. And at the strategic level, performance management systems, management scorecards and dashboards, exactly what's actually happening and what you actually want to achieve, where with what. Because all this investment and money used in terms of social media campaigns, in terms of sales, in terms of marketing communications, in terms of AdWords, in terms of site development, in terms of meta tags, in terms of keywords that you put on different pages and you put into the coding and over your website, all this is an additional cost because someone has to do and carry out all these functions. And this cost is then analyzed and reviewed to determine if it is effective or not, and what can you do to improve things. CMS capabilities. Here we're talking about the structure offering, link management, search engine visibility, input and syndication, the version control, security control. You need to think about publication, workflow, tracking and monitoring, and the navigation and visualization. So if we think about a web document review and update in terms of writing your document, or thinking about if you're adding on a new product range, for example, you're adding on a new product range, then what is that product range, what is the width, what is the breadth, what is the depth of that product range, or what is going to be the content, what is going to be the terms and conditions, and so on and so forth. What are going to be the different variations, the different sizes, different colors. Again, you write this, and at the same time, which then leads into a review. Any corrections, in terms of publishing it, testing it, and publishing it again. Again, you go through this process to, implement changes and updates and new products on your website. An example of a, content update review process, content update, starts with the brand manager, who writes the copy. Exactly what copy do you want? For what product ranges or product lines, and so on and so forth. Web manager reviews the copy. Here, marketing manager reviews the copy. So you have the web manager, then the marketing manager, because he has the specific product knowledge on that product range, and there may be discrepancies, there may be things which are incorrect or not put in the right way. Then you might have the legal department reviews the copy. Legal department to make sure that it's all legal and it's it meets the trading standards. Copy implemented and test on the site. It goes back to the brand manager, and then to the web manager who tests the site, copy updated, and then finally new copy live. So depending upon how big your company is, depending upon how fast your company moves, you may go through, if you're a large organization, medium to large organization, you may go through all these different stages. But in truth be said, if you're a small company, then you may not have all the right people to do it. So one person will be doing a multi range of functionality of all these different type people in all these different type places, instead of having different people in these different roles carrying out these different functions. And if we look at website standards, so website standards, the site structure, this will, details will specify the main areas on the site. For example, the products, customer service, press releases, how to place content and who is responsible for each area. And this applies to content developers. If we look at the standard for navigation, again, the details may specify, for instance, the main menu must be always on the left of the screen. Webmaster usually achieves, with nested submenus at the foot of these through site template screens. The home button should be, accessible from every screen at the top left corner of the screen. Again, applies to website designer. Webmaster usually achieves these through site templates. And again, you're standardizing it. You are standardizing the format in terms of what you want, and then this will be consistent through all the different pages, because you can't have them all different on every single page, because it won't look professional and it will look very peculiar to the customer if all the buttons are on the wrong pages, on the different sizes, different places and different colors. Then it's not going to be consistent with the whole website. If we look at the standard for the copy, style and page structure, the details in terms of general guidelines, for example, reminding those writing copy that when the copy needs to be briefer than its paper, equivalent and ranking factors of SEOs. Where detail is required, perhaps the product specifications. It should be broken up into chunks that are digestible on screen. Copy and page structure should be written for search engine optimization, to key phrases, keywords and meta tags. And again, applies to the individual content developers. So you're providing these briefs to the content developers to actually produce, for you. And then they don't know about the products. They'll be doing lots of designing. They don't know about the content. They don't know what is right or wrong. They'll only be doing what is in front of them. So you must give them the guidelines to tell them what they need to do in a consistent way. Otherwise, you don't, then they're going to be making mistakes or not doing it in the way that you want it, and then they're going to be coming back to you. You're going to look at it and you can say, that's not quite right, can you go back and do this, this and this, and then it's going to go back and it's going to keep going back and forward like a table tennis game, and it's just too time consuming and waste time. So it's very important to get the details correct in terms of what you want, and then to explain it to make sure that the developers understand exactly what you want. If we think about the standards for testing standards, the details would be, check site functions for different browser types and versions, plugins, invalid links, speed or download for graphics, spell check each, page. Again, this would be the website designer, webmaster, and also, the manager involved in the product as well, because they would know more in terms of the right phrases and so on and so forth if it's correct. In terms of corporate branding standards, details would be, specifies the appearance of company logos and the colors and typefaces used to convey the brand message design. Very, very important. Applies to the website designer, webmaster, and graphic designer. Again, you need to make sure that your branding is consistent. The color of your logo, the size of your logo, the position of your logo, and so on and so forth. It needs to be consistent, so it can't be all over the place. If we think about the process and standards, details includes web page or updating or existing page. Who is responsible for reviewing and updating? Everyone is. And stand for performance, availability, and download speed figures. Staff managing the server. So these are some examples of web standards that you need to think about. Because it's very, very important. Because you are carrying out your marketing strategy in terms of your segmentation, targeting and positioning, and your positioning strategy and your branding, and how your website looks and how it comes across, and what you want your website to portray will depend upon your website standards in terms of how it's designed and how it's consistent on every page. So thank you today from Mr. Tan. And today we have covered the diagnostic categories, including digital marketing and measurement. We've covered data within performance management systems and website standards. So thank you today.